Look who it is. Hey Pro, how are you doing? Yeah, YouTube. The footage that you've sent me, I can only play it as a very small image in the middle of my screen, which meant I had to sort of crop the image, and this is what I ended up with. So the resolution is a little bit diluted, which isn't ideal, but it will still have to serve the purpose. The camera angle is sufficient on this one, but I'm going to splice in seamlessly to this video an edit explaining where in the V1 app you can look for some tutorials which will get us singing from the same hymn sheet, as it were, with the down the line footage and the front on footage. Probably good to film at 1080 resolution, 60 frames per second. You can have a dip into your phone and tweak it to that, and also get a tripod and set the swing up, certainly from this down the line angle, so your hands are more or less in the middle of the image. And I can show you a couple of still images as to what I mean by that, but I think you probably know. But if we can get as sort of between the target line and your body alignment as possible, as a consistent thing. You mentioned the silhouette, just to prove I did watch the video and listen to your feedback. I'll get into that in more depth in a moment. But yeah, watch that tutorial. I'll click over to that now. Yes, look, here we are. If you go onto the landing page of your V1 app, getting started, how to film your swing, useful analysis, and so on and so forth. How to film from front on, how to film from down the line. So you can be a right old genius and a right old precise nitpicky Nelly if you want to, and that will suit us just fine, mate. It will expedite things with the back and forth, I'm absolutely certain. There are one or two videos on Patreon as well, which amount to the same thing, me talking about where to draw the lines on the video. I'll send you the link for that separately in our thread. Anyway, back to the business at hand. And as if by magic, we're back again, pursuant to you learning where the tutorials are. And yeah, we'll start talking about the basics. We're not going to try and run before we can walk. Speaking of which, you're probably running out of energy by now. You've been swinging back and forth so much. So we'll pause it there. We'll not try and do too much in too short a space of time. On a monthly basis, we can check in with you and we can keep your eye on you. So I'm going to run you through some basics. But in the back of my mind, you mentioned that the short irons go okay up to about the 8 iron, and then we start sort of hitting them a little bit low and pulley, with the longer clubs, which would be consistent with some of the patterns that I can see. So we're looking at patterns. We're looking at any problems that the certain pattern you're using might cause, and we're looking to exchange that for a pattern of behavior which is more desirable. And we'll kick off. All right, so this broad reflection, I would always look to make sure that when we see you, your center of gravity is vertically above your kneecaps. You're not doing too badly with that. So if we thought of the center of your mass as somewhere in your upper sternum there, the back of your armpits is a good way to characterize that. That is pretty much perfectly vertically above your kneecaps, which is fine. Your arms are hanging down from your shoulders. Your butt is a little bit outside your heels. Your knees softly flex sort of vertically above your shoelaces, which is fine. Might look a little bit like the general sort of tendencies to lean and sit a little bit in the heels, which might leave you a little bit flat-footed. But again, the camera's moving around in this footage, so we do desperately need a tripod. We do need steady filming, which I've already mentioned on our thread. So let's have a little look on our WhatsApp thread, that is. We'll have a little look at taking a line, and this is a really important line. This is the sort of biomechanically optimum path to move your club on to get as much accuracy and power, and repeatably so, as we possibly can. So we're going to go straight through the back of your armpits there, again through your center of mass, from the ball upwards. It doesn't matter really too much whether the line extends beyond the ball, but what you're looking at here is a circle from sideways on. The club goes back, and it travels quite considerably behind you, which isn't a massive problem. But your left arm and shaft point a little bit behind you, and that's really your top coaches are going to want to see your left arm, your hands, and the club in this sort of arrangement. I hope that's reasonably clear. Your arms, your hands, and club sort of parallel at this halfway back point with your body alignment. So I'll put an image on the side of the screen of Justin Thomas, who just obsessively, he won recently, so he's going to be flavour of the month, but he obsessively moves the club halfway back and gets the club moving back and forth on this line, and I'll show you him doing so, and the likes of Ludwig Oberg and Rory McIlroy and people like that who are pretty good, pretty obedient to that. So the club goes around you. That's the first concern, the first part of your swing. Right leg beginning to straighten a little bit, which isn't ideal, but it might give away that we haven't got necessarily the flexibility that we'd like, and that's why your head will lose a tiny bit of height. Your left knee will flex quite a lot as a result of using quite active in your legs and feet, which destabilises you a little bit. The mass of the club is a little way behind you. We'd like to see it on that line and more directly above. You'll feel like it's more directly above your right shoulder, and I'll show you some examples of that. Justin Thomas, for example, arrives with the club above that line at the end of the backswing, and I would say that's probably more stable than having it too far behind you. So a little bit flat would be the broader term. Now, that doesn't have to mean death on a stick, but on the way forwards, we can see impact, and this is a really critical element of your swing at the moment of impact, which we do luckily manage to get a pretty good reference point for. Your feet are flat on the ground, your hips are sideways to the target, like that, and your right arm is something near its full length, fully extended, which it has a little bit of flexion remaining in it, but not really enough. So that causes problems with the sequencing of your forward swing, and that is what will lead to your pulls, your hooks, and the uglier sister of the pull hook, the top shot or the thin shot, which you won't like at all. And this is not a very good position for improving your power. So I'm going to do a piece to camera outside because it's a lovely sunny day, which emphasises what we're after, but there's a collage of golfers on the screen next to you who are going to demonstrate impact conditions, and we want more body rotation. It's absolutely crucial because everything revolves around rotation. Before I do my piece outside, let's apply the same theory to some other swing footage that we've got. So this is a longer iron. We'll blow you up a little bit there. And a bit wobbly with the footage, but again, we're not really looking at you from the same sort of angle here. You're aiming at a different target, so it's hard to be objective. But we can, if you like, apply that swing path, that swing plane, ideal biomechanical optimum swing path here, and we'll see the club travel well underneath it, left arm across the chest, club pointing behind you, not ideal. We'll look to give you some impetus to change that, and I'll give you some links to videos on Patreon. Again, bit of a flat backswing, straight right leg, flexed left leg, club travels back from underneath, which isn't the worst thing, which will assist you in not slicing the pants off everything. Hands and shaft of club are back on path and on plane, as they must be, really, if you're standing any chance of hitting it at all. But again, we can see here the trend, and this is what I mentioned from the top of the show. The trend is that your feet are flat at impact and your hips are not rotated much and your right arm is at its full length. And we can just see as you finish maybe a hint of the left elbow showing signs coming outwards, a bit like a very mild chicken wing. It's not too ugly, but that's the behaviour of arms that have overtaken your body rotation because they have to, they have no choice, and they will eventually buckle, and that's what will cause your tops and thins. But I'll explain that to camera again in a minute. Dip across to the driver. Okay, again, club goes a little behind you. So that's going to be sort of bone of contention, point one. And a little bit flat. Change direction. Impact a little bit more dynamic, has to be said. Look, lovely bit of rotation there and some flexion remaining in your right arm. Let's just bring that back. Sorry for the jumpiness. So your frame rate could be a little faster and we could get clearer images. If you film in slow motion, that's quite a good idea as well, just while we're on it. But look, some footwork. This is good, which implies some leg work and some hip work. We can see a little glimpse of your left glute there, and a little glimpse of your left leg, which we haven't seen yet. And this isn't even the most flattering camera angle to see that. So that's much better. And I'm hoping that driver shot was one of your better ones off the top of my head. I didn't memorize every single syllable you said, but that's the trend you want to achieve. Elbow still buckling outwards a little bit, which I'll talk about if your left arm has a reluctance to rotate through impact, and that might be because Doing so would flip the club over. You'll either get the predominant hook or slice, and usually it's difficult to have the club functionally stable through impact. So there we go. Those are the main bones of contention, and I will reiterate those just now outside. Cut to me in the garden. Right, Arnie. Glorious sunshine, glorious HD, but sadly no glorious microphone working. So if I'm shouting at you, that's not because I'm upset. It's because my mic's not working, radio mic. Not working today for some funny reason. So anyway, we'll carry on regardless. Major patterns, influencers of your current tribulations. When you get set up, try and get that camera down the line, by the way. Just needs to be somewhere between where your body's aligned and where the ball to target line is, as aforementioned. First move in your backswing, club tends to disappear behind you. So the mass of the club's moving a little bit behind you, and as a result, we're going to struggle with the club getting into a flat position with the mass of the club outside of your base. We always want our apex above our base. So club travels more directly backwards, left arm and shaft line up halfway back. Good drill for this, and on the subject of drills and exercises, there are a plethora on the Patreon site. So what I'm going to do, if I forget to send you any of the links, just prompt me to fetch those out for you and direct your viewing eyes to those, because if I've forgotten, I've mentioned a few during the course of just this video, but there are loads on there that are really helpful and cut down on the amount of time that these videos take to watch back. So there are separate ones which link to this, because everything else obviously in the world is inextricably linked. So sideways to the target, take the club directly back, shaft and left arm line up halfway back, toe of the club to the sky or the leading edge kind of 11 o'clock as we look at it. So starting from a decent posture, excellent. Bit of straightening of the right leg going on. Now, if we take a front on perspective of that, and the mass of the club I would liken to something heavy, say a bag of sand or something like that. If I straighten this right leg, this right hip gets taller in relation to this hip, or this left hip, and we'll see some flexion in that lead leg. So straightening of the right leg, flexing of the left leg leads to a little bit of a loss of height. More troubling than that is that when you get to the end of your backswing, the mass of the club will be sort of destabilizing you a little bit, and you'll have to then recover from that. Your arms will be traveling forwards, and the danger is that we don't really get the forward swing sequence right. So if we get too far out of position during the backswing, the forward swing is going to be inhibited. So we want to keep that right knee occupying the same space on the way back. So dual focus, excuse me, picking up my club, dual focus on keeping the club halfway back, lined up, left arm and shaft, right? So at a halfway point, we're just looking for this, a la Justin Thomas, and we're looking to keep the right knee occupying the same space, okay? So if that stays in place, you'll feel some resistance to that in your lateral muscles as you rotate, but that's absolutely normal. Expect that. That torques you up, gets you spiraled ready for your forward swing sequence, which is obviously going to be improved, as mentioned earlier on, by your body being more open for impact. So we see more left glute, left leg, left hip, so to speak. And as a result of having a Tyrannosaurus Rex of a right arm, to apply power, we have to rotate to be able to reach the ball. If you had a short right arm and you retain flexion in it, so if you just pulled it straight down and the body doesn't rotate, then we won't be able to reach the ball. Now, that brings me to the point about rotation. We want impact conditions where your body feels like it's open. If you channel any tennis experience or table tennis experience you've had, where it feels like the body is open and you're hitting a down the line sort of shot of some description, topspin forehand, that type thing, then that will be a good thing to channel. We need to flare that lead up foot open, which I see you're already doing, but levels of flexibility will influence this. I'll come back to that in a moment. But fundamentally, we have to make sure your body keeps rotating, because otherwise, if your body's rotation stalls, if your rotation stops and your feet are flat on the ground and we can't see your hips, what will happen is your arms will fold away prematurely. And however they manage to do that, whatever interpretation that happens, it's always undesirable. So when the body rotates, the arms can go out to their full length much more happily and travel towards the target. If the body stops rotating, then the club will climb around you because it's its only escape. And things like that sort of characteristic chicken wing, left elbow, when the radius of your swing gets narrower, that obviously takes the club away from the ball. That obviously takes the club around your body. So pull hooks and thins and tops are the classic symptom or outcome that you would expect. So if I was standing face on to you and then those arms fold away, then the body rotates pursuant to that, you might as well not bother. We really want to feel like our club is on our right hand side when we hit the ball. Our left arm is long, it feels like it's extended across our chest. Our right arm is comparatively short. So when we rotate this way, it feels like the club's on this side of our body. And again, reminiscent of that topspin forehand down the line. All right, so that's where we're at with that. Everything revolves around rotation. If you rotate, your arms can accelerate out to their full length. They can sweep the ball away from on the right of you. Initially, it will be in front of you, but when you hit it, you want it on the right of you. And that's a characteristic shown by all of those players in that collage that we looked at. And it's very, very common because people put too much attention on the ball and trying to hit the ball. And there's a long queue of people who will line up to tell you if you take your attention off the ball, you're doing something wrong. That's not true. I haven't got any attention on a golf ball. I've got my attention on synchronizing my swing so the club and my hands and my arms feel like they're on the right hand side of your body when you do that. So if you simply put a club across your chest, all right, imagine the toe of the club is looking at the sky. A little bit of forward bend when we rotate. You want to feel like your body is responsible for squaring that club to the target. You want to feel like your feet, legs and hips have got to rotate. So the impact, what we'll see, I'll just shuffle back from the camera a little bit. At impact, the idea is that your trail shoulder, your right hip, your right knee, your club are all married to the task of being right side onto the ball. My right side, excuse me, messing around with the target, on my right side is all lined up with the ball at impact, and you can see that there the club face is nice and square to the target. So as you look down upon it, your upper body, your lower body, you can do the same thing by fusing the club to the front of your hips or to the side of your hips. And again, holding on, my left arm has to be long, my right arm comparatively short. Rotate, keeping the club on your right hand side. That will stretch out these hip flexors, these sinews, these tendons, these muscles that might be reluctant to be that flexible. But if you're not feeling that flexion in your hip, especially when your body is on its side, if you're not feeling flex exerted and exertion around this side and contraction above this right hip when you're in impact, then you're probably not doing it right, my dear boy. You want to be as balletic and energetic and aerobic as you can, of course. So through impact, we want to make sure we impact the ball in a way that when you're viewing yourself on camera, you can see both glutes. Probably not stuff that I haven't talked to you about with you before, but fundamentally, yeah, we have probably three main tasks. To start getting the club traveling directly away from the target rather than around us. To keep that flexion in the right knee, what that will do is allow you to collect the mass of the club here or be stable. And then traveling forwards, we hit the ball on our right and we let go. And what's going to happen is you're going to have fewer hooks show up, fewer top shots, fewer thins. You're going to be able to deliver the club along the ground with more energy. And that there endeth. That's the broadest analysis, not too detailed. Not too much, I hope, but enough homework there for you to be at for a month and then come back to me with a pushback next month. Okay, so once more with feeling, club moves back away from the target, lines up halfway back. Ideally, it would carry on and continue to a point where it was sort of vertically above your right shoulder, right collarbone. If you drop the club, it would fall on your right shoulder, that kind of thing. Just a little additional there. Your right knee would stay flexed throughout the entire backswing. You can rotate as much as you like, and that right knee will brace you. And then we impact on our right, and a lot of our attempts to square the club will be more successful, they'll be more powerful, and yeah, more consistent. So apart from that, rubbish. So yeah, there we are, there's your homework. Crack on, don't skimp, no excuses. Haters. Whoa, just before fully signing off, from front on, not so damning, I have to say. If we look from front on, Ball position looks to be slightly forward of centre, which is acceptable. A little bit of flare outwards to this lead foot, which makes sense in the context of at least giving yourself the opportunity to rotate. Only thing I would probably highlight is that if we look closely at this right hand hold, the right hand is disappearing under the handle, so to speak. The palm is facing outwards and upwards towards the camera. And the industry would refer to that as strong. And a strong hold will often lead to a closing club face. And a closing club face leads to a ball that curves to the left. So that will combine with other elements aforementioned and favour a closed club face. But club, obviously from this face-on angle, not so obvious. The club is disappearing behind you. We can see your head moving to the right and upwards, which, kind of swing for swing. Again, it depends exactly on where you view a swing from as to how much or how little is apparent when it comes to chasing the elusive perfect shot. But, I think there we maybe get the sense that the chest is facing upwards a little bit. Weight is, this side of your body has become a little taller and this side a bit more curved in shape, which again just speaks to what I was saying to you to the camera about maybe destabilizing you a little bit, which isn't perfect, but it's not miles out. I think that has to be stressed. This isn't sort of damning stuff. This is just slightly nitpicky. And as we transition through the forward swing, footage gets a little blurry. We can see the ball disappear. We don't get to see the sort of angle the shaft is at because the frame rate is not really quite high enough, dear boy. But you can see a lot of the rotation in your hips probably restricted by maybe a fraction too wide in the stance. If we look at the width of your stance here, let's just draw some lines a little bit outside. Shoelaces a wee bit outside. I mean, again, leaning a little bit more towards the target possibly could be another criticism. But again, I don't see that as terribly detrimental to your fortunes. So, that trail foot is sort of... is kind of, I think you're struggling to activate your leg work quite as much as you would if you narrowed your stance. You'd probably be a little bit better off. But again, this isn't, we're not at death's door. This isn't, sort of hugely negative stuff, but stuff that could just tidy things up and set you off on a more consistent path. Anyway, signing off for real this time.